Before Rome rose, before Greece flourished, Persia awakened beneath vast skies. From scattered tribes emerged a vision larger than the world itself. A king would rise from humble lands. His name would echo through centuries. Empires would rise from stone and fire. Cities carved from the heart of mountains. Armies would march across deserts, mountains, and the edges of the known world. Persia would challenge the rising powers of Greece. The world would tremble. But even the greatest empires face the storm of destiny. Yet Persia would rise again, and again, and again. This is the story of a civilization that shaped the ancient world. Long before the first Persian king wore a crown, before Persepolis rose in stone and shadow, before empires stretched from the Indus to the Mediterranean, a land of wind, stone, and burning sun waited. A land that would forge one of history's greatest civilizations. Tribes would arrive from distant northern grasslands. They carried languages, traditions, and ancient gods. Among them walked the ancestors of Persia. Their story would become the story of Persia. The Iranian Plateau stretches beneath ancient and endless skies. Winds sweep across deserts older than recorded memory. Rivers carve silver paths through valleys of stone. Here, long before empires, humanity learned to endure. Small tribes scattered across valleys and hills. Their lives are shaped by wind, drought, and wandering herds. Survival demanded strength, patience, and unity. From the northern steppes came migrating Indo-Iranian peoples. They brought languages carried by generations of memory. They carried songs of ancient gods and sky spirits. Across centuries, these tribes settled the plateau. Among many Iranian tribes, two names would rise to prominence: the Medes and the Persians. At first, they were small tribes among many others, yet the land would shape them into something greater. Mountains forged warriors hardened by hardship. Deserts taught patience beneath endless horizons. Rivers gave life to growing settlements. Slowly, cultures began to take root. Generations passed beneath the same vast sky. From these lands would rise the first Iranian kingdom, a power that would challenge the greatest empires. The story of Persia had begun. Across the rugged plateau, tribes slowly grew in number and strength. Among them, the Median tribes slowly began gathering power. The Medes rose from the mountains of western Iran. Their lands were strong, but their tribes remained divided. The division left them vulnerable to greater powers. In the west, a terrible empire ruled through fear. Assyria, master of war and conquest. Its armies crushed cities across the ancient world. Median tribes increasingly faced the power of Assyria. From this fear emerged a new idea: unity. One leader would guide them. His name was Deioces, a man known for wisdom and justice. The tribes chose him as their king. For the first time, many Median tribes stood united. A new kingdom rose in the mountains. Its capital would become the city of Ecbatana. From this city, Median influence spread across western Iran. The Medes now stood strong against their enemies. Soon, they would challenge the mighty Assyrian Empire. The balance of power in the ancient world was shifting. Persia's future was quietly taking shape. In the southern lands of the plateau lived the Persians. They were once under the influence of the Median kings, loyal allies, yet distant from the Median throne. From this quiet land, a child was born. His name would echo across centuries: Cyrus. Born into the royal house of the Persians, the son of Cambyses of Anshan. Legends would surround his childhood. Some whispered that destiny walked beside him. As he grew, Persian nobles gathered behind his leadership. Strength gathered quietly in the south. Meanwhile, tensions stirred within the Median Empire. King Astyages ruled with growing suspicion. Fear began to spread through the Median court. In this moment, Cyrus made his move. Persian banners rose across the southern lands. The rebellion had begun. War would decide the fate of two nations. The Medes marched to defend their throne. Yet many Median soldiers joined Cyrus instead. The Median Empire collapsed in a single decisive conflict. Cyrus became king of both Persians and Medes. A new empire had been born, the Persian Empire. The Parthian age slowly faded beneath the weight of time. Noble families rivaled kings for influence and authority. The empire weakened as rival houses competed for power. From the southern province of Persis emerged a new challenger. His name was Ardashir, son of the ruler Papak. Ambition burned within him like a sacred flame. Ardashir began gathering loyal warriors and allies. His rebellion challenged the authority of the Parthian king. War erupted across the heart of Persia. The decisive battle came near Hormozgan. Ardashir defeated the Parthian king in open combat. The Parthian dynasty ended after nearly 5 centuries of rule. Ardashir crowned himself Shahanshah, King of Kings. Thus began the age of the Sassanian Empire. A new Persian dynasty had risen from ancient roots. The legacy of Persia was about to be reborn. Two great empires now faced each other across the ancient world. In the west stood the mighty Roman Empire. In the east stood the reborn Persian Empire. Between them lay deserts, mountains, and contested frontiers. War would become their constant language. Shapur I became one of the greatest Sassanian kings. His ambition rivaled the power of Rome itself. Persian armies advanced deep into Roman territories. The war reached a shocking moment in the year 260. Roman Emperor Valerian marched east to face Persia. But fate turned against Rome. Shapur defeated the Roman army at Edessa. The Roman emperor himself was captured alive. It was an unprecedented humiliation for Rome. Persian power now rivaled the greatest empire of the West. The struggle between Rome and Persia would last centuries. The struggle between Persia and Rome entered its final century. Both empires had grown weary from endless war, yet ambition and rivalry continued to drive them forward. A powerful king soon rose in Persia. His name was Khosrow II, ruler of vast ambitions. War erupted again between Persia and Byzantium. Persian armies swept westward with unstoppable force. Syria, Egypt, and Jerusalem fell to Persian rule. The Persian Empire reached its greatest territorial extent, but triumph soon turned into exhaustion. The Byzantine Emperor Heraclius struck back with fury. The war devastated both empires beyond repair. Persia descended into chaos after the long war. Kings rose and fell in rapid succession. The empire stood weakened and divided. A new force now rose from the Arabian deserts. The armies of Islam marched northward with unstoppable momentum. Persian forces fought bravely to defend their ancient homeland. The decisive battle came at al-Qadisiyyah. Persia's last great empire collapsed after centuries of glory. Yet the legacy of Persia would never truly vanish. In the west, a storm was gathering beyond Persia's horizon. A young Macedonian king dreamed of conquering the world. His name was Alexander the Great. His ambition stretched far beyond the lands of Greece. In 334 BCE, his army crossed into Asia. The ancient Persian Empire suddenly faced a new challenger. The great king at that time was Darius III. Darius commanded the greatest empire on earth, yet the empire had grown vast and difficult to defend. Alexander's army moved quickly through Asia Minor. The first great battle came near the river Granicus. Persian resistance began to crumble under relentless attack. Alexander pushed deeper into the heart of the empire. The two kings finally met at the Battle of Issus. The Persian army collapsed in chaos. Darius fled eastward to rebuild his forces. But Alexander's march could no longer be stopped. The fate of the Achaemenid Empire now hung by a thread. The war for Persia moved toward its final act. Alexander marched deeper into the heart of the empire. Darius III gathered a final army to defend his throne. The two kings would meet once more in battle. The decisive clash came at the Battle of Gaugamela. Alexander's tactics shattered the Persian lines. The once mighty army of Persia broke in confusion. Darius fled once again into the eastern provinces. The road to the Persian capitals now stood open. Alexander entered the magnificent city of Persepolis. The city symbolized centuries of Persian imperial glory. Within its halls rested treasures of unimaginable wealth. Yet triumph soon turned into destruction. In a moment of drunken celebration, tragedy struck. Flames consumed the palaces of Persepolis. The heart of the Achaemenid Empire turned to ash. Soon afterward, Darius III was betrayed and killed by his own men. With his death, the Achaemenid dynasty came to an end. The greatest empire of the ancient world had fallen. Across the wind-swept frontiers of northeastern Iran, a new force gathered strength. They were the Parni, fierce riders of the steppe. From these riders emerged a leader named Arsaces. His rebellion would ignite the birth of a new empire. The Seleucid governors watched uneasily from distant cities. Their empire was already strained by distance and revolt. In 247 BCE, Arsaces seized the land of Parthia. The Seleucid banner fell before the storm of horsemen. From this moment, the Arsacid dynasty was born. The Parthian kingdom began as a frontier rebellion, yet it would soon grow into a formidable Eastern empire. The Parthians mastered the art of mounted warfare. Their arrows struck enemies before swords could reach them. They perfected the legendary Parthian shot. Even retreat became a weapon in Parthian strategy. Under kings like Mithridates I, Parthia expanded rapidly. Provinces once ruled by the Seleucids fell one by one. Media, Persia, and Mesopotamia returned to Iranian rulers. The ancient heartlands of Persia were reclaimed. A new empire stretched from the Euphrates to Central Asia. In the west, another giant was rising. The Roman Republic now looked east toward wealth and conquest. Between these two powers stretched the deserts of Mesopotamia. Here the destinies of Rome and Persia would collide. The rise of Parthia had reshaped the balance of the ancient world. Persia once again stood as a power between east and west. Across the scorching plains of Mesopotamia, two great worlds faced one another. In the west stood the vast power of the Roman Republic. In the east rode the swift cavalry of Parthia. Between them stretched centuries of rivalry and suspicion. The frontier lay along the great rivers of Mesopotamia. These rivers became the fault line of two civilizations. Roman ambition soon pushed armies eastward. Wealth, glory, and conquest tempted Roman generals. One man sought victory that would rival Caesar himself. His name was Marcus Licinius Crassus. In 53 BCE, his army crossed into Parthian lands. The Parthians watched quietly from the open plains. Their response came under the command of General Surena. The meeting of armies came near the city of Carrhae. The Roman legions prepared for a traditional battle, but the Parthians fought with speed and distance. Clouds of arrows darkened the desert sky. Roman shields could not stop the relentless storm. When the Romans advanced, the Parthians retreated swiftly. Then the riders turned and fired behind them. The Parthian shot became legend on that day. Roman formations slowly collapsed beneath exhaustion and arrows. Crassus himself fell during the chaos of retreat. The Battle of Carrhae shocked the Roman world. It proved Parthia was Rome's equal in power. From this moment, the eastern frontier hardened into rivalry. For centuries, Rome and Persia would contest this frontier. Centuries passed as Parthian kings ruled a vast but fragile empire. Noble families grew powerful, while royal authority weakened slowly. The empire endured, yet unity slowly began to fracture. In southern Persia, a new power quietly began to rise. In the city of Istakhr lived a priestly noble family. From this lineage emerged a man named Ardashir. He believed Persia must be restored to ancient greatness. The memory of Cyrus and Darius still echoed through Persian lands. Ardashir gathered loyal warriors from the province of Fars. His rebellion challenged the authority of the Parthian kings. Parthian nobles underestimated the rising challenger. Yet Ardashir's victories began to multiply across Persia. Towns and provinces shifted allegiance to the new leader. The final confrontation approached between two dynasties. In 224 CE, the decisive battle erupted at Hormozgan. Ardashir defeated the last Parthian king in battle. The Arsacid dynasty came to an end. In its place rose a new Persian empire. The Sassanian Empire had been born. Ardashir declared himself Shahanshah, King of Kings. The empire would restore ancient Persian identity. Zoroastrian fire temples blazed across the land. The Sassanian state became powerful and centralized. Persia had risen again as a great empire. Two ancient empires stare across deserts and fortified frontiers. Persia and Rome prepare for another generation of war. For centuries, their rivalry has shaped the fate of continents. Now the greatest war between them begins to unfold. The death of an emperor ignites the storm. In Persia, King Khosrow II prepares his armies. He claims vengeance for the fallen Roman ruler. Persian armies surge westward into Roman lands. Mesopotamia trembles beneath the marching legions of Persia. Roman defenses crumble across the eastern provinces. Syria falls to the advancing Persian tide. Jerusalem stands exposed before the armies of Persia. The sacred city falls after a brutal siege. Persia captures the most sacred treasures of Christendom. Meanwhile, Constantinople watches the eastern disaster unfold. The Byzantine Empire teeters on the edge of collapse. Emperor Heraclius refuses surrender. Instead, he prepares a desperate counterattack. Roman armies march east toward the Persian heartland. War spreads across Armenia and the Caucasus Mountains. The struggle becomes a war of exhaustion. Cities burn across the ancient trade routes. Entire provinces change hands again and again. At last, Heraclius strikes deep into Persia itself. The final campaign marches toward Nineveh. There, the fate of empires will be decided. The Great War leaves both empires wounded and exhausted. Persia's armies are victorious, yet dangerously overstretched across distant lands. Byzantine lands lie devastated from years of relentless war. Cities burn, fields are empty, and treasuries stand depleted. The ancient order begins quietly to fracture. In the deserts of Arabia, a new power awakens. A new faith begins spreading among the tribes. The message travels quickly across the Arabian Peninsula. Soon this new force turns its gaze toward the great empires. Persia stands unaware of the coming storm. The empire still believes its power is eternal, yet beneath the surface, instability grows rapidly. After the death of Khosrow II, chaos spreads through the court. Rival kings rise and fall in rapid succession. The once mighty empire fractures under internal struggle. Meanwhile, Arab armies begin crossing the desert frontiers. Their forces move with surprising speed and unity. Persia scrambles to gather its remaining strength. The two worlds collide near the city of al-Qadisiyyah. One of history's decisive battles begins. Persia fights fiercely to defend its ancient empire. Yet discipline and momentum favor the Arab armies. The Persian lines begin slowly to collapse. The road to the Persian heartland now lies open. Soon, another decisive battle erupts at Nahavand. Chroniclers will later call it the victory of victories. The Sassanian military structure collapses entirely. King Yazdegerd III flees across his fading empire. City after city falls to the advancing armies. The last Sassanian ruler wanders east seeking refuge. In distant lands, his fate finally reaches its end. With his death, the ancient Persian Empire finally ends. 4 centuries of imperial rule fade into silence. Yet Persia itself does not disappear from history. Empires may fall, yet civilizations often endure far longer. Persia's empire fades, but its culture continues breathing through centuries. Languages evolve, yet still carry echoes of ancient Iranian voices. Persian poetry will one day shape entire worlds of literature. Knowledge preserved by scholars bridges the ages of history. Persian traditions adapt within a new religious and cultural order. The Iranian Plateau remains a crossroads of civilizations. Trade routes carry ideas across Asia, the Middle East, and beyond. Persian art continues shaping architecture and design. Gardens inspired by Persia spread across distant kingdoms. Ancient imperial ideas quietly influence later empires. Systems of administration echo the satrapies of old Persia. Roads once built for kings inspired future imperial highways. The memory of Cyrus the Great still resonates through centuries. His ideals of rule and tolerance remain legendary. The ruins of Persepolis continue to speak across millennia. Wind and sand slowly shape the remains of ancient glory. Yet these stones still whisper stories of empire. Travelers stand silently before the memory of a world empire. Across history, Persia remains more than an empire. It becomes a civilization woven into the fabric of history, from the age of kings to the present day. The story of Persia never truly ends. Empires rise with thunder, yet history remembers what survives them. The Persian empires vanished, but Persia itself endured. Languages, traditions, and memory carried the spirit of ancient Iran. Across centuries, Persian culture continued shaping art and thought. Poetry, philosophy, and scholarship flourished long after the empires ended. Ancient royal roads became pathways of memory and heritage. The names of kings still echo through the pages of history. Their vision of governance influenced civilizations far beyond Persia. Empires remembered Persia as both rival and inspiration. Even the ruins still speak of unimaginable power and ambition. Stone remembers what time cannot erase. Across deserts, mountains, and cities, Persia's story continues. From the age of kings to the modern world, the legacy of Persia remains woven into human civilization, and the land that gave birth to empires still stands beneath the same sky. From the first tribes of the Iranian Plateau to the kings who ruled the greatest empire of their age, to the fall of empires and the survival of civilization. Persia's story stretches across the entire arc of ancient history. Empires fade, yet the legacy of Persia endures forever. Thank you for watching.